Before we move any further, let's uncomment this scope. Select inside of our shopping-list.js, save the file, and let's actually create this file, this PHP file, which fetches all the records for the list of shopping items plus the types of the quantity and kilograms and so on. So inside of the root of our project, let's create a new directory, call it mod, and inside of this file, we're going to create a new file. It's going to be PHP file called select. If we open that PHP tag file and we start with try and catch statement, and we're going to be catching exception, PDO exception as E. And now what we're going to do is echo using JSON and code function, and then we pass the array to this method, to this function. And also second parameter will be a few constant, JSON underscore hex underscore tag. This is basically will ensure that whatever the output is of this array, all of the characters which aren't JSON legal will be converted to JSON legal characters, basically. This first one is for the tags, like things like these kind of arrows, so they're going to be converted to the right characters. Then we have JSON underscore hex apostrophes. Then we have, sorry, it's not comma that we're separating them with. We've got these vertical bars that we need to use here. Then we have JSON hex, and we go for quotes as well. And then another one that we're going to use, JSON hex, and it's going to be AMP, which is for ampersigns. And that's everything. That's all constants that we need to use. And in the array, we simply use error index, and this one will be true, because obviously if we catch the exception, that means that something went wrong. And then the message will be simply the default message from the exception, so E and get message method. So that's for the exception. Now inside of the try statement, we are going to start with the new object db equals new PDO class. We're going to be using SQLite, because we're using SQLite, then colon, // because we are going one directory up to the root of our directory, and then dbase folder. There we go, this is our dbase folder, and the name of the file we are using, our database, our SQLite database, which is shopping list, shopping-list. And then semicolon after this. Then we go for object db set attribute, and we're going for PDO attribute error mode. We want to have all the errors, and then PDO all the errors as error mode exception. That's what we want. So we want to use exceptions basically. And then we go for the SQL equals select I everything from items as table I, then join types as table T on TID equals I type, and then we are going to use order statement by I date ascending. So in the ascending order by date. And apart from all of the elements from the items table, we also want to select name as type name. So it's basically the quantity or kilograms or whatever associated with it. So this is going to give us all these records. Now we're going for the result variable. So result equals object db query, and we pass the SQL statement to this query method. Then we go if exclamation mark result. If it didn't go okay, so basically something went wrong with the query, then I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. We are going to throw new PDO exception, the result returned no object. And after this if statement, we go for result, set fetch mode, and we want to use PDO fetch associative array. So fetch underscore assoc, which will give us associated array, basically field name value pair, and then we go for items equals result and the method fetch all, no parameters here. Then we go for another SQL statement, select all from types, order by ID, unless you want to order them by name or in any other way. Okay, then we go again for the result. Result equals object db query again. We pass the SQL statement to this query method. And again, we check the same thing. So I'm just going to copy this if result is false. Basically, we didn't return anything. And after this if statement, result, set fetch mode, again, PDO fetch associative array, and we want types equals result fetch all. So it's gonna give us all of the results from the SQL statement. Okay, so we've got our items and types. Now what we need to do is obviously to return it back to JavaScript, to our Angular select method. So echo, and rather than typing this again, I'm just going to copy everything from the exception block, from the catch block, sorry. And for the error, it's going to be false because it's all successful. And we go for items, which will simply return the items array, and then types, which will return types. Now, if we save the file, if we preview everything in a browser, so if we go back to the browser, look at the console here, if I refresh the page, we've got the page, the select.php, which was called successfully, and there we go, all the items which we've added when we were working with the database: butter, potatoes, onions, and whatever else you may have put in there. So that returns all the records. Obviously, we don't display these records on a page yet. That will happen pretty soon. So let's move to the next video.